Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. So yesterday we studied about types of chemical reactions. What are the types of chemical reactions? Combination reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction and double displacement reaction. We had studied the different examples of these type of reactions also. Today we are moving on to the next topic, that is endothermic and exothermic reactions. These are also two type of reactions based on the heat evolved or heat absorbed during the time of a chemical reaction. At the time of a chemical reaction, it is based on the heat absorbed or heat evolved. Okay, so this is endothermic and exothermic reactions. You will be getting a question on distinguish between endothermic and exothermic reactions. What are endothermic reactions? The chemical reaction in which heat is absorbed is called as endothermic reactions. I repeat, the chemical reactions in which heat is absorbed are called as endothermic reactions, and the chemical reactions in which heat is evolved or heat is released are called as exothermic reactions. Okay, so what are endothermic reactions? Heat is absorbed. And what are exothermic reactions? Heat is evolved. Now heat has to be supplied or absorbed. Now while the experiment is being performed, either you will have to heat the test tube or the test tube becomes cool. Okay, the initial temperature, consider it is about 30 degree. After the test the temperature of the solution will be about 25 degree or so. It is just an example, okay, to show that at the time of experiment the heat is absorbed or we have to heat the test tube. Such type of reactions are called as endothermic reactions. Whereas in case of exothermic reactions, heat is released. That means the test tube will become hot. Heat is released and the temperature of the resulting solution increases. Okay, so these are the differences between endothermic reaction and exothermic reaction. There is an example given, CaCO3. CaCO3 is calcium carbonate. Okay, this experiment we had done in the first lecture of this chapter. Okay, so CaCO3, when it is heated, you remember, if you put a sign like this on the arrow, it means that you have to heat that test tube. So CaCO3, when it is heated, it gets converted into CaO and CO2. CaCO3 is a solid, CaO is a solid and CO2 is a gas. Okay, so in this case you are heating the reaction, heating the reactants, so the reaction is endothermic reaction. In this case, exothermic reaction, CaO plus H2O. You are mixing CaO in water. This will react with water to form CaOH twice and large amount of heat is liberated. That means if you take a test tube, you take water in it, and if you put calcium oxide into it, it will form calcium hydroxide and the test tube will become hot on its own. Okay, such type of reactions where heat is released is called as exothermic reactions. Hope you have understood what is endothermic and exothermic reactions. I repeat, the reaction in which heat is absorbed, okay, are called as endothermic reactions, and the reactions in which heat is released or heat is given out, that is said to be exothermic reactions. CaCO3 giving CaO plus CO2, it has to be heated, so it is an endothermic reaction. In this reaction, heat is written on the right hand side, that means it is an exothermic reaction. In case of endothermic reactions, either it is written like this or it is written towards the left hand side. You will write it as CaCO3 plus heat gives CaO plus CO2. So if heat is written on the left hand side, or if there is a triangle above the arrow, that means it is endothermic reaction, and if heat is written towards the right hand side, then it is an exothermic reaction. Now these are the two activities given in the textbook. The first activity is, you have to take two bottles and you have to take water in it. you have to measure the temperature of the water, initial temperature of water which you have taken. And in one test tube you have to add one bottle you have to add KNO3, and in the other bottle you have to add NaOH. Okay, after adding the chemical or the reactant, you have to measure the temperature again. You have to take the temperature again. You will see that the temperature of this solution will decrease and the temperature of this solution will increase, because this is an endothermic reaction and this is an exothermic reaction. I repeat, what is the experiment? You have to take two bottles, you have to take water in it, you have to measure the initial temperature of the water which you have taken. Okay, mark one bottle as A, another bottle as B. In one bottle you may add KNO3, in another bottle you may add NaOH. After adding and mixing, you have to measure the temperature again. When you measure the temperature again, you may see that the temperature of the bottle in which you had added KNO3, that is potassium nitrate, it is decreased, and the temperature of the bottle in which you had added NaOH, it has increased. So this is an endothermic reaction, because what did KNO3 do? It absorbed the temperature of water to dissolve in water. Okay, this is dissolution. Dissolution means there is no reaction taking place between these two, it is just getting dissolved. So what is the reaction? The reaction is KNO3, which is a solid, you are mixing it in H2O, which is a liquid, to form KNO3, which is aqueous. And what do you mean by aqueous? Aqueous means a solution in water. The solution in water is called as aqueous solution. Now, what about this reaction? NaOH, which is a solid, it will react to it. Does not react, it is dissolving in H2O, that is water, to form NaOH aqueous. Okay, it is a solution of NaOH. Now in this case, the heat is here. That means plus heat. KNO3 plus H2O plus heat. And in this case, you have to write heat towards the right hand side. So in this case, the heat is written on the left hand side, and in this case, heat is written on the right hand side. So whenever you write heat on the right hand side, it is exothermic reaction, and when you write heat on the left hand side, then it is endothermic reaction. Okay, so you will be getting a question on distinguish between endothermic and exothermic reactions. You don't have to write these two activities. Okay, you have to write only these 3 points. Okay. Now in the textbook there is a point given. This is the point. While dilution of acid, you might have heard about concentrated acid and diluted acid. In dilute acid, the H positive ion concentration is less, whereas in case of concentrated acid, the H positive ion concentration is more. Okay, what is an acid? An acid is an acid because it has H positive ions. An acid is an acid because it has H positive ions. If there are no H positive ions, then it is not an acid. If there are OH minus ions, then it is a base. Do you remember? You had studied last year. Okay, so H positive ions, if there are more amount of H positive ions, then it is a concentrated acid. If there are less amount of H positive ions, then it is a dilute acid. Now you have been provided with a concentrated acid. You have to dilute it. Okay, now if you have to dilute it, what will come into your mind immediately? You may add water into it. Now, adding water to acid is a highly exothermic reaction. That means there is more amount of acid and less amount of water. Okay, acid is concentrated, it is very hot. So when you add water into it, as it is an exothermic reaction, it will give more amount of heat and it will explode. Okay, so you should never add water to acid. You are always supposed to add acid to water. So that is the point which have been written here. There is a give reason in your exercise, a frequently asked question, 2-mark question. While dilution of acid, always acid is added to water taken in the flask. Okay, you have to take water in a flask and then you have to add acid drop by drop. Okay, you shouldn't add pour it immediately all together. Okay, you have to add it drop by drop because it will give out heat. If water is added to acid, then large amount of heat is liberated as it is an exothermic reaction and accidents will occur. So what is the point? You have to add acid to water, acid to water, acid to water. If water is added to acid, then it will cause accidents. Okay, this is a give reason question. Now use your brain power question on page number 39. Okay, it is based on this activity. In case of dissolving KNO3 in H2O, that process is called as dissolution. It is called as dissolution. Now the question is, what is the difference between dissolution and a reaction? In a reaction, a new substance is formed. In dissolution, no new substance is formed. It is just changing its state of matter. That means it from solid plus liquid to form, it is forming aqueous solution of that chemical. Okay, so dissolution means dissolving, dissolution means dissolving, dissolution means dissolving. So in the process of dissolution of a chemical solute dissolves in a solvent to form a solution. You have heard about the term solute and about the term solvent. Solute, the chemical which you are adding is the solute and the water which you have taken is solvent. Solute plus solvent will give you solution. This you might have learnt in lower classes. I repeat, solute plus solvent gives solution. So in the process of dissolution, a chemical solute dissolves in a solvent to form a solution. And what is a chemical reaction? A chemical reaction involves a chemical change where a new substance is formed. So in dissolution, no new substance is formed, whereas in case of a reaction, a new substance is formed. So this is the difference between the process dissolution and reaction. Dissolution and reaction. So what is dissolution? Dissolution is dissolving the chemical in a particular solvent. Okay, there is no chemical reaction taking place, it is just getting dissolved. Now what is the next question on that page? On page number 39. Does a new substance form when a solute dissolves in a solvent? No, no new substance is formed. So you may write, I will be giving you this question as homework, distinguish between endothermic and exothermic reactions. So you may write this answer for that question. Okay, right. So this is the next part, that is factors affecting the rate of chemical reactions on page number 39. You may take page number 39. There is a can you tell part. Can you tell? They have given several activities. You have to write whether the reaction is rapid or slow. Rapid means fast or slow. The first one, cooking gas starts burning on ignition. Okay, ignition means burning. Cooking gas starts burning on ignition. It is a fast reaction. Okay, it is rapid. RAPID, rapid. Iron article undergoes rusting. It is a slow reaction. Erosion of rocks take place to form soil. It is a slow reaction. Alcohol is formed on mixing yeast in glucose solution under proper condition. It is a slow reaction. It takes time. Effervescence is formed on adding baking soda into a test tube containing dilute acid. It is a rapid reaction. A white precipitate is formed on adding dilute sulfuric acid to barium chloride solution. It is a rapid reaction. So you have to classify them into fast reactions and slow reactions. The first one is fast, that is rapid. Second is slow. Third is slow. Fourth is slow. fifth is rapid, and sixth is rapid reaction. You may learn this. It could be asked for 2 mark or a 3 mark question. Now we may move on to the topic, that is, what are the factors affecting the rate of chemical reactions. There are 5 factors affecting the rate of chemical reactions. This is a 3 mark question. First is nature of the reactant. Nature of the reactant means it is of which nature, that is, it is more reactive or less reactive. We had studied in displacement reaction, a more reactive element displaces a less reactive element. Do you remember? I had told you about Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge. So Dilwale means the one which is more reactive. It will take the Dulhania. Here you may see ZnSO4, that is zinc sulfate, is a solution. You are adding Al to it. Okay, aluminium. Now here aluminium is more reactive than zinc. And who is Dulhania? Here SO4 is the Dulhania. And aluminium is more reactive than zinc. So what will it do? It will displace zinc. So aluminium will displace zinc and form aluminium sulfate to displace Zn, that is zinc. So the nature of the reactant, whether the reactant is more reactive or less reactive, it matters while a chemical reaction take place. A more reactive element displaces a less reactive element. This is the example. Aluminium reacts with zinc sulfate to displace zinc and form aluminium sulfate. Okay. Now the next is size of the particle of the reactant. Size of the particle means whether it is a powder or whether it is in the form of a solid. Okay, solid means it is in the form of a crystal. If it is in the form of a crystal, what do we generally do? We generally powder it into powder form and then put it for reaction, because the reaction takes place at a faster rate. So smaller the size of the reactant particles, higher is the rate of the reaction. The rate of reaction increases as the particles of the reactants become smaller. Okay, the example given is pieces of Shahbat tile. Shahbat tile is calcium carbonate. If you take pieces of Shahbat tile and make it to react with dilute HCl, the reaction will be a little bit slower than if you use powder of Shahbat tile. Okay, so smaller the size, more will be the rate of reaction. The third one is concentration of the reactants. As the concentration of the reactant increases, the rate of reaction increases. Here it should be reactant. Okay, it should be reactant. So as the concentration of the reactant increases, the rate of the reaction increases. That means whether it is a concentrated acid or it is a dilute acid, which one will be faster? The reaction in which we are using concentrated acid will be faster, obviously, isn't it? So why? Because the concentration of reactants is more. So as the concentration of the reactant increases, the rate of reaction increases. Now the next is temperature of the reaction. In some reactions, if we increase the temperature, then the reaction occurs fast. Okay, the rate of reaction increases on increasing the temperature. Decomposition of limestone. Limestone, if you keep it as it is in a dish, it doesn't undergo decomposition. But if we heat it, it will undergo decomposition. That means as the temperature increases, the rate of reaction increases. Now the next is catalyst. You might have heard about catalyst. What is a catalyst? It is a chemical substance which increases the rate of reaction without undergoing any change. That means you have to take a test tube. You have taken reactants in it, but the reaction is not going on at a faster rate. So what will you do? You will put some other chemical. Understood? So you will put some other chemical into it. When you put that other chemical, the reaction is occurring fast, but that chemical does not react. It remains as it is in the solution. That is said to be a catalyst. So what is a catalyst? The substance in whose presence the rate of chemical reaction changes without causing any chemical change is called as a catalyst. So in a catalyst, We have taken a test tube, we are having reactants, but the reaction is not taking place fast. What are we going to do? We are going to add a catalyst. When you add a catalyst, then the reaction takes place faster. How? Because that catalyst which we are adding, it increases the rate of reaction, but it does not react on its own. Such substances are called as catalysts. So what is a catalyst? The substance in which whose presence the rate of chemical reaction changes without causing any chemical change to it is called as a catalyst. Now in our textbook they have given two examples. One is on heating potassium chlorate, that is KClO3, decomposes slowly. Potassium chlorate decomposes slowly if we heat it. But if we have to increase the rate of reaction, what can we do? We may add some manganese dioxide to it. If we add some manganese dioxide to it, then the reaction occurs faster. Okay, so manganese dioxide is acting as a catalyst there. This is an objective type question which could be asked. What is added as a catalyst in decomposition of potassium chlorate? You may mark, okay, in the textbook itself. Now decomposition of hydrogen peroxide occurs at a faster rate on adding MnO2 powder to it. If you add MnO2 powder, then decomposition of hydrogen peroxide also occurs at a faster rate. Even this is an objective question. Okay, so what are the different factors affecting the rate of chemical reaction? First one is nature of the reactant. Second is size of the particle of the reactant. Third is concentration of the reactants. Fourth is temperature of the reaction. Fifth is catalyst. This is a 3-mark question. You have to write from here to here. With examples you have to write. Okay, so you can copy this also in your textbook. You may mark the points in the textbook itself. Okay, so it will become easy for you at the time of exams to learn. Even if you learn this much, it is okay. Okay, now the next part on page number 41. On page number 41, there is a box. Do you know? You may see, do you know box. What has been given in that? We will see. One or more chemical reactions take place during every chemical change. Some chemical reactions occur at fast speed, whereas some occur at slow speed. Strong acid and strong base react instantaneously. Instantaneously means immediately, at a faster rate. In our body, enzymes increase the rate of physiological reactions. You may underline that. It is an objective. Okay, so in our body, the catalysts, it is not called as catalysts, they are called as enzymes. So enzymes are juices which increases the rate of reaction. Perishable foodstuff. Perishable means which could get spoiled. Okay, which could become spoiled easily. They are called as perishable. जे खराब होऊ शकतात. So perishable foodstuffs gets preserved longer in a refrigerator. आपण भाजी आणले की आपण फ्रीज मध्ये ठेवतो. We keep the vegetables in the fridge, in the refrigerator. Why? Because in the refrigerator the temperature is low and the decomposition is slower at lower temperatures. The rate of decomposition of foodstuff get lowered due to low temperature and its freshness is maintained. That is why it is kept in refrigerators. Vegetables cook quickly on oil rather than on water. So whenever you cook food, we generally use oil because the heating capacity of oil is faster. It is more compared to that of in water. The chemical reactions are profitable in chemical factories if their rate is fast. So in chemical reactions in industries, if you are going for production of some chemical, then the reaction should be faster. The rate of chemical reaction is important from environmental point of view as well. The ozone layer in the Earth's atmosphere protects the life on the Earth from the ultraviolet radiation of the sun. This we all know. The process of depletion or maintenance of this layer depends upon the rate of production or destruction of ozone molecules. So these are the examples of some chemical reactions which are occurring in nature. Okay, so today we have learnt about distinguish between endothermic and exothermic reactions. While dilution of acid, you have to add acid drop by drop to water. Never add water to acid. Then you studied about dissolution. What is dissolution? It is dissolving of chemicals. No new substance is formed. So dissolution and chemical reactions are two different points. Then the types of rapid changes and slow changes, and the factors affecting the rate of chemical reactions. This much you have learnt today. In this part, distinguish between endothermic, exothermic. Okay, and the give reason while diluting an acid, you have to put acid drop by drop to water. It is a give reason. And this question, this is a 3-mark question. Okay, so today's homework is distinguish between endothermic and exothermic reactions and explain the factors affecting the rate of chemical reaction. Okay, thank you.